Sylvain Bailly was a French astronomer, mathematician, freemason, and political leader of the early part of the French Revolution. He presided over the tennis court oath, served as the mayor of Paris from 1789 to 1791, and was ultimately guillotined during the Reign of Terror. Scientific career. Born in Paris, Bailly was the son of Jacques Bailly, an artist and supervisor of the Louvre, and was the grandson of Nicolas Bailly, also an artist and a court painter. As a child, he originally intended to follow in his family tradition and pursue a career in the arts, but he became deeply attracted to science, particularly astronomy, by the influence of Nicolas de Lacaille, an excellent student with a particularly retentive memory and inexhaustible patience. He calculated an orbit for the next appearance of Halley's comet, and correctly reduced Lacaille's observations of 515 stars. He participated in the construction of an observatory at the Louvre. For such achievements he was elected to the French Academy of Sciences in 1763. Scientific papers. Bailly published his essay on the theory of the satellites of Jupiter in 1766, an expansion of a presentation he had made to the Academy in 1763. It was followed up in 1771 by a noteworthy dissertation on the inequalities of light of the satellites of Jupiter. In 1778, he was elected a foreign member of the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences. Bailly also gained a high literary reputation by his elegies of King Charles V of France, Lacaille, Molière, Pierre Corneille and Gottfried Leibniz, which were issued in collected form in 1770 and 1790. He was admitted to the Académie Française on 26 February 1784, and to the Académie des Inscriptions in 1785, when Bernard Le Bovier de Fontenelle's simultaneous membership of all three academies was renewed in him. From then on, Bailly devoted himself to the history of science, publishing a History of Ancient Astronomy in 1775, followed by a History of Modern Astronomy. Other works include Discourse on the Origin of the Sciences and the Peoples of Asia, Discourse on Plato's Atlantide, and a treatise on Indian and Oriental astronomy. Though his works were universally admired by contemporaries, later commentators have remarked that their erudition was marred by speculative extravagances. The lunar crater Bailly was named in his honor. During the French Revolution, the revolution interrupted his studies. Elected deputy from Paris to the Estates General, he was elected inaugural president of the National Assembly, and led the famous proceedings in the tennis court, being the first to take the tennis court oath. Shortly after the storming of the Bastille, he became the first mayor of Paris under the newly adopted system of the Commune. Mayor of Paris. When Louis XVI made his momentous visit to the Hôtel de Ville to endorse the revolution, Bailly presented him with the new symbol of the revolution, the tricolour cockade. Along with the Marquis de Lafayette, he is considered the indisputable hero of the early days of the revolution. In his function as mayor, he was attacked by Camille Desmoulins and Jean-Paul Marat as too conservative. He continuously sought to promote the authority of the mayor while limiting the power of the General Assembly of the Commune. One of his actions in this position was to secure, with others, and in the face of threats and ridicule, the passage of a decree of the 27th of September 1791, which declared Jews to be French citizens, with all rights and privileges. This decree repealed the special taxes that had been imposed on the Jews, as well as all the ordinances existing against them. After a failed attempt by the royal family to flee the country, Bailly tried to contain the growing Republican crowds asking for the king to step down. On the 17th of July 1791, he ordered the dispersal by the National Guard of the riotous assembly in the Champ de Mars. Having suddenly become extremely unpopular, he resigned on the 12th of November and moved to Nantes, where he composed his Memoirs d'un témoin, an incomplete narrative of the extraordinary events of his public life. He was replaced as mayor by Jérôme Pétion on the 16th of November. Execution in July 1793. Bailly left Nantes to join his friend Pierre-Simon Laplace at Milan, but was recognized and arrested. On the 14th of October, he was pressed to testify against Marie Antoinette but refused. On the 10th of November, he was brought before the Revolutionary Tribunal in Paris, speedily tried, and sentenced to death the next day. On the 12th of November, he was guillotined at the Champ de Mars, a site selected symbolically as the location of his betrayal of the democratic movement. He was forced to endure the freezing rain and the insults of a howling mob. When a scoffer shouted, "Tu trembles, Bailly?" he stoically responded, "Oui, mais c'est sûrement de Freud." In the words of the 1911 Encyclopedia Britannica, he met his death with patient dignity, having, indeed, disastrously shared the enthusiasms of his age but taken no share in its crimes.